From a young age, I've been quite passionate about growing vegetables. Putting a seed in the ground and seeing it grow and dealing with weeds and bringing something through to harvest and then sitting at the dinner table at night knowing you're eating something that you've grown, it's a pretty rewarding feeling. Oakley's premium fresh vegetables currently growing on around 450 hectares owned and leased land. We're supplying potatoes, broccoli, beetroot 52 weeks of the year to largely supermarket customers, and we've got pumpkin that we grow, which is seasonal supply from April through to November. Environment is a big issue nowadays, and I think maybe it's caught up with everyone that, for a long time there everyone just did what they did, and now we're seeing this consequence. Global climate change, it's real, it's happening, it's our backyard, and one can question at what rate it's happening and what effect it's going to have, but I think the bottom line is it's real, it's happening, it is going to have an effect, and we've all got to get on board and do our bit. The two that have certainly got brought to our attention is the nitrate leaching and nitrous oxide gases. So in regards to what we're doing about it, we're using Overseer to measure what's actually going on, and that's given us a number, so then we can see where we're at, and with that we can look at what things we can do or where we think we can improve or reduce what we're currently doing. And we're doing things on farm such as e-mapping paddocks to determine where the variances are in the paddock for crop nutrition. We are doing even more soil testing than what we've been doing in the past, with measuring paddocks before we start with the crop, and then we're also measuring what we've got left in the paddock afterwards so we can put a number on that. We are with moisture probes, so we're quite accurately monitoring what's actually happening in the soil with irrigation or rain events, and that gives us the ability to better predict what to put on and when, so we can avoid overwatering at any time, and we can also avoid the plant going into stress. We're also doing plant tests as well to see what's actually in the plant, and we're forming more of a database to understand what levels we need to be at to get a good outcome with the crop. A big part of it's fine-tuning. We've found with what we've done that we're pretty close to where we need to be, but we can always do better, and having these measurements allows us to do better. And it also, at the end of the day, helps take a bit of risk out of the business, because you're more certain that you are putting the right amount on, you haven't put on too much, not enough, and that goes with fertiliser and with water. Crop rotation plays a big part in the impact you have with the environment, and you observe over time that some crops naturally do better after others, and it's about putting finding what that best sequence is. And also one of the other things we're doing now is we're doing more cover crops than from say what we did in the past, so we're moving in sooner afterwards. The assumption being that if there's any free nitrogen left in the ground, that you get in there and get that soaked up in a cover crop, and then that can return back into the soil and come back again for the next crop, so less chance of leaching. Another thing we're doing is we've changed our practices quite a bit on soil cultivation, so we used to plough nearly all our ground, and we hardly plough any ground at all now, so the cultivation we are doing is with rippers and discs. So increased soil structure and organic matter going back into the ground gives you more holding capacity of both nitrogen and water, so anywhere we can help build that soil structure up by less cultivation and more organic matter going in, I think is a key part. But the underlying thing is you can't manage what you can't measure, so it's about measuring to start with, and then you can start to look at the numbers and go, right, well, what if we do this or what if we do that, and try and understand the things that you could be doing, or only making some small changes in your business, the impacts that could have. And in the big picture, I think everyone's business is bound to have some room to reduce and improve, and that's what our goal is. In terms of the compliance, that's certainly coming our way. I've found a big part is finding the right consultant to work with. You give them the information, they can digest it and bring it back to you in a report and say, right, here's what's going on, and then start understanding and working with them and going, well, that's not hard. It's, at the end of the day, we're all caretakers of the land with what we're doing. We're all trying to get the best out of our farms, and no one's looking after them more than the farmers themselves, because how we look after them is how they're going to look after us. So it's just an extension of that, and it's just understanding it's another tool and another way of measuring and achieving that outcome. We're providing fresh vegetables to a lot of consumers in New Zealand, and we've got to be ready for when they come back and ask the question, well, how much impact are you having on the environment? And I think we've got to be able to give an honest answer and back it up with facts to say, well, actually, this is how much impact we're having, and this is what we're doing about reducing what that is. You should accept that someone should be able to point the finger at your operation, and you should be able to stand up, and I think you need to be able to stand up and say, hey, because there's a lot of perception out there that all farms are bad or all things that are going on in rural is not good, and then we throw a bit back and point the finger at them and say, well, look at what you guys are doing in the city. But that's not getting us anywhere. We've got to start measuring it and going, well, yeah, okay, we are having an impact, and here's what it is, and this is what we're doing to reduce it. And then we can ask the question back to the other people and say, well, what's your number, and what are you doing about it? So I think that's really important stuff.